We've been hearing there about pro-corporation, pro-growth. Let's talk to Pascal Lamy, the former Director General of the World Trade Organization, and see what he thinks. Great to see you again, Mr. Lamy. How do you think what happens at two sessions can help China's economy?
Well, I think I agree with the starting point. China's growth is flattening. Foreign direct investment into China is dropping. So I think the Chinese leadership knows that and is trying to address this situation by some signal of rebalancing of the Chinese economy. This new concept of new quality productive forces may mean different things. I'm not sure I totally understand what it means, but my view, for what it's worth, is that the sort of rebalancing which the Chinese economy needs is from exports to domestic consumption. This is not a new thing. The reality is that we have huge overcapacities in many industrial sectors, while we have undercapacities in service sector. And I think the real issue is how to increase domestic consumption. If these new quality productive forces are orienting the economy through increase in demand in sectors that are innovation-driven, it might do the trick. If it's one more big program of state-driven infrastructures, I'm afraid it will not do the trick.
What about restoring things like foreign direct investment and private sector confidence? What signals are you getting there?
I think the signals foreign investors are looking for is that Chinese consumption, which has been subdued, will be back to its pre-COVID levels. We know that Chinese have had to pump into their savings during COVID. We know that they now are reconstituting their saving rates, which, as we know, in China is relatively high because of the very thin welfare system, which people can rely on for health, for pensions, for education. So the trick, I think, is to give a clear signal that the Chinese macroeconomic policy will be less into major state-driven infrastructures and more into pumping domestic consumptions. I think this is the real issue. Of course, innovation can help, provided it results in more consumption from the Chinese household. I think this is the issue. Too many overcapacities in the production systems and not enough consumption capacity, which of course reverberates in the trade pattern of China, which is still extremely export-oriented.
It's interesting you said that we've got this catchphrase, new quality productive forces, and you're not quite sure what that means, because it really is sometimes hard for foreign onlookers to understand what China's economic policy goals are. I mean, how do you think that plays into prospects for global economic growth, for global trade?
I couldn't agree more with what you said. These Chinese concept for non-Chinese Sinophone, like me, unfortunately, may sometimes look a bit vague. But I agree that overall, this world needs a higher growth of the Chinese economy in the future. We were accustomed to much higher than the 5% that was allowed by Premier Weekend today, I think the rest of the world is longing for a higher rate of Chinese growth, while recognizing we won't be back to the 10% of, let's say, 10 years ago. But that's what we need. China has become so big in the world economy today, I mean, roughly 20% of the world economy in terms of GNP, that it's the common interest of China and of the world to increase Chinese growth. And again, I think this is more through domestic consumption than through investment.
Pascal, Lamy, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.